Hey, I'm Dukes on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey, hope you're enjoying the content. A huge thank you as well just to my patrons quickly, not only those who currently support me, but those who've been part of the Zenith in the past. It's a pretty phenomenal feeling to be supported by other players, not just in the Maverick or Legacy sphere, but those who just enjoy Magic content. My content will never be behind a paywall, and these patrons allow that to continue to happen. You may have also noticed I've stopped adding ads during my YouTube videos, and that's not just a quality choice, but also a direct outcome of having people support me through platforms like Patreon, doing a nation deck list. So a huge thank you to you. I love what I do. I love being a community member of the Maverick and even Depths communities, the wider Legacy community in general, and it's a privilege. So thank you. All right, let's get back into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Abzan Mav, giving it a last run before the start of 2024. This list is a bit of a new one. It takes a lot of the ideas that I have for Maverick, things like typically having access to 10 different ways to remove creatures, 10 different ways of tutoring through Green Sun's Knight and Fiend. We also have 9 ways of accelerating on turn 1, or I should say 8, because of course Dryad Arbor itself is not an accelerant. This is still a Once Upon a Time version. I think Once is just a really strong card, and although there have been times where we've kept a hand wanting to find, say, a green source, not finding it, and it being a pretty big setback, I think those downsides are far outweighed by the upsides of what the card gives us in really what we want, a land or a creature. It's that simple. It does always also have some benefits with some free creatures like Endurance or Fairy Macabre. In this version, I'm just running 3 Endurances instead of any copies of Fairy Macabre for Creature Graveyard Hate, because I think it's better against Delver, and having access to multiple Endurances against Delver is pretty fantastic. Hey Elo, very cool. A huge thank you for your support. It means a lot every time you come in, and of course the subs for 24 months is pretty insane, so thank you very much. Also trying out Legolas's Quick Reflexes. This is a tough one because I think there are a lot of different ways to make use of Legolas's Quick Reflexes. Obviously Knight of the Reliquary is really good, Fiend Artisan. If you're in a deck with Mother of Runes, it could be quite good, or Scrib Ranger. There's a lot of ways to activate Legolas's Quick Reflexes. I'm not running Scrib because I'm not running Mum, and that big part of that is Orcish Bowmasters. Also just the one Thalia as a Fiend Artisan target. I did actually have it in the sideboard over the second Endurance, having the second Endurance main, but I think it's just nice. I just like having something like Thalia in game 1 against combo. Obviously Collector Ouphe is typically very good, but I think Thalia against some of the blue decks, if they do stumble against us, especially as a Wasteland deck, Thalia can still be really relevant. So pretty happy to see her still there. This is kind of the maybe board. I'm a big fan of Library. I think I'll never play without a Library. Scooze has been really nice, especially offsetting some of the life loss of early Delver hits or Sylvan Library, or even because we're trying out Snuff Out in the sideboard as well, which we'll get to. I think that, yeah, it's really nice to have ongoing pressure instead of just kind of a one-off that Endurance typically is. So Ooze has been really strong, especially as just against Delver, getting like a 4/4 on the board, and then also eating things like a Bauble here and there to keep DRC off. I've been watching a lot of Gordon Ramsay, and I keep doing this as a way to get my point across. But yeah, taking them off Delirium has been pretty solid as well. I think there's a lot of ways with the mana base to play it as well. I really like Harry's mana base of the full 8 fetch lands. All of these can of course get all of the duels, and I'm just a big fan of 5 duels, 2 basics. The main reason for that is I want the extra black sources against the Wasteland decks, where Bowmaster and Plague Engineer are typically pretty good. Decks like Delver, DNT, the Maverick Mirrors, there's nothing worse than having, like, say, a Bayou and potentially a Scrubland in the deck and getting hit off both, and having to rely on, say, Ignoble Hierarch, or potentially getting a Ramunap into play, which is even seeing, like, less and less play in the main deck. I do like Achilles' take that Ramunap should be in the 75, because there's a lot of decks like the Mirror, or Depths, or Lands, where Ramunap is just really, really solid. But the Renegade Rallier versions that have been popularized by Harry1232 is also really cool, and I think is a great showing of how you have to keep up with tempo against a lot of the decks in the format. So I have gone for Ramunap, but I could definitely see Renegade Rallier in here, and the more I talk about it, the more I want to put it in here right now, but I'm just not going to. Panda, a huge thank you for the sub. I hope you got my mail and your card from Kai. Big shout out to Kai Saratarix for his tokens. Very, very cool. You can find them at saratarix.com. And then to the board. Here we are. So 2 Carpets, 2 Force, 2 Snuff Out, 2 Endurance, 2 Deafening Silence, 3 Thoughtseize. Really looking for a bit of consistency there in what I'm seeing, especially in my opening hands. Cards like Carpet, Deafening Silence, Thoughtseize, you really want turn 1. If not turn 2. Sometimes against Delver, I'll delay the Carpets, so then I just play Fetches and Pass, and then maybe like Brazen Burrow or Bounce or something. But yeah, and then of course Gadok Teague, a 1-of in the board, but once it's in the main deck, it's a 5-of thanks to Green Sun Zenith. Opposition Agent is just a really nice kind of mirror breaker. We can find it through Fiend Artisan, which is really nice, through Once Upon a Time if we're looking to dig for it. We can play it turn 2, which is fantastic as well. Not many decks in the format can do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm a little bit skeptical of combo right now, especially with Daybreak Games giving out the passes where you can play any cards essentially. You essentially have a God account, so I thought maybe combo might be out and about, but I thought, hey, let's just not worry about things like Mindbreak Trap or even Surgical. I think Endurance with Once especially should hopefully trump there, so hopefully we do okay. I haven't played in a little bit, so we'll see how this goes. Oh, there's a Legacy Super Qualifier in 4 hours? Interesting. Well, that's 1 AM for me, which is kind of lame, but Legacy League. Nice. Play points, Abzan Mav. Let's do this. Gameplay. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, hey, a huge thank you to either you watching on Twitch or you watching on YouTube. It's been a pretty big year, which is awesome. It was cool going over the names of the players who have taken part in the Green Suns Summit so far, and it was pretty cool. There was a lot of nice names there that most people would probably know from the Legacy community. This is it. Bosch and Roll, Mark Strassman, Pleasant Kenobi, Matthew Vaughn, Callum Smith, Sahar, Connor False, XJ Cloud, Max Torsion, Eli Goings, Julian Narb, Achilles27, Phil Gallagher, John O'Yannick, Hello Newton, Michael Mapson, Tom Hamp. Very, very cool. Alright, I'm going to play. And we have a pretty sweet hand. We essentially want to find probably a 3rd land with the first once, and then Green Suns for Dryad Arbor off probably a Bayou. So we probably want to find another fetch land off the once, and that leads us to go Windswept into Bayou, Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, turn 2 hold up Bowmaster and Wasteland, or essentially play the Fiend Artisan out depending what we're up against. That would also allow us to Fiend the Dryad Arbor turn 3 into potentially a combo hate piece like Collector Ouphe, which is nice, so pretty happy to keep this. Opponent's gone to 6 cards. So we're looking at this, hold up this, and then leftover. It's a little bit like the Manamorphose effect, where if you are a Storm player in, say, Modern with Manamorphose, you're not too sure what it is, so you're not too sure on the keep. But I think that the deck is just so consistent that Once Upon a Time in Maverick is a little bit better as a double up in an opening hand than, say, Metamorphose in a Storm deck in a format like Modern. Fiend Artisan's been a big card for the year. Oh, no land. Okay. Okay. I think I'm actually happy to take Thalia here as the one of. If I was scared that we were up against some sort of combo deck, I could take the Endurance. And then if they're a graveyard deck, we have Endurance and ones to pitch. What are our thoughts here? So potentially, Bowmaster turn 2 is just better than Thalia against most decks. And the way I die this turn is through just turn 1 combo. So maybe Endurance is the line here. I don't want to look up my opponent. So what I'm essentially trying to do is build out my mana for the early game. Play a few creatures, and then potentially have the Endurance with once. The reason I wanted to once now is I just want a Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, which would allow me to turn to Bowmaster and Wasteland, potentially. You know what? Let's go with the Endurance. Yeah, because this also doesn't force me to play to, like, have to find a white source as well, which is nice. For the Thalia. So now we have this over here. Not finding a land, like, we talked about that in the opening as well. Scalding Tarn doesn't give too much away. Typically Delver. Oh, just Mountain, wow. Oh, okay. So we're going to be up against Painter, which here we're pretty happy about. Another black source in Bayou. So Bowmaster doesn't typically do anything against Painter. Fiend Artisan is quite nice though. I probably don't mind playing Wasteland and then just playing Fiend Artisan here. That allows me to get Collector Ouphe next turn and also potentially Wasteland them in response to Saga. Because if they play a Saga, we can Wasteland it before they can tap it for mana, which is pretty sweet. Fury would be a pretty big concern. Engineer. Okay. Not too bad, as we do have the Endurance hardcast. Ah, there it is. Okay, that does get rid of a 4th, which is pretty big as well. And only a 2 for 1, which typically it's a little bit worse for us if it isn't. Hey GM, thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciate it. Hope you're doing well as well. Happy holidays. I think here we just want to play an Endurance right now, because this is, yeah. They have 2 cards in hand. This isn't sorcery speed either, so like, if I don't Endurance now, they could just potentially do something and then just hold up a red to just hold up keeping Painter's Servant. So I think for that, I'm happy just to play Endurance here. Take out the graveyard. There's definitely like you could get them, but they know about the Endurance as well from the once. Ancient Tomb. Okay. Interesting. This feels like a little bit of bait with the Wasteland in play. I do want to once here, probably for another land. Play a land and then just Wasteland them. can attack. It's a free attack. Ooh, also, I didn't think of this. With access to Tomb and Mountain, they can grindstone themselves to see if they mill a artifact they want to then use Engineer to get back into play, which is kind of cool. I think hitting my mana is the big one here. Not great. A little bit awkward to say the least. Alright, so they're gonna mill. Oh wow, they actually hit a lot. They actually hit a lot of non-artifact spells. Double Engineer, Double Fable, Engineer, Fury Swords. So I do want to take them off this Wasteland. Off this Ancient Tomb, sorry, to stop them from being able to do this multiple times. There's Saga. So thankfully here we can Wasteland before they can tap it for mana. But there is a world where that mana is better for us because land into Scoos and then hold up. No attack is interesting as well. Maybe they have something going for them. Really want to land. Perfect. Alright. Attack first. Play Scoos, hold up green. Pop out the graveyard here as well. A white source is great as well because it means that Swords Plowshares at the top is pretty great pickup. Alright, so they don't have Mox Opal turned on just yet. Yeah, interesting. Wow. They must have thought that with the one card in hand that they just can't beat this. 2/3/3s. Which sounds like a small thing, but yeah. Thankfully, we got there. Snuff Outs are pretty great. Force of Vigors are pretty great. Agent is okay. I don't mind the extra endurances as well, just because I feel like in a lot of spaces, endurance allows you to not use early removal on their goblins. What isn't great? We do know they're running 4th Era Lingus as well. So I think the quick reflexes can come out. Thalia, especially against a Fury deck. The Bowmasters are fine, but not great. Probably the best part of Bowmaster is what they achieve with Fiend Artisan, and just giving us multiple bodies to put away. Beast can definitely come out. Ramunap is fine, but typically you don't need to put him in some sort of Wasteland lock, and post board they're more, it's more known that we are a Wasteland deck. Plague Engine is nice just on Goblin. It also turns on Bowmaster, but I could see a Bowmaster coming out. And then we still have a lot of removal, which is great. Yeah, multiple endurances, potentially too many. Agent step. I'm gonna try the Agent. Big reason for Agent is Urza Saga and Goblin Engineer, and also just being a 3/2 with Flash. A Force of Vigor opener with 2 lands would be pretty great. This hand is good. It does have 2 relevant hate bears. It doesn't do anything against the fast starts. And knowing they're also on white, they do have Swords of Plowshares, so Collector Ouphe isn't the end-all be-all. Definitely an interesting one. The tough part is that I feel like postboard Painter is just so good with a Saga plan and just not worrying about the combo. And then potentially once we've dealt with the Sagas and constructs with all our resources, they can just go all in on the combo. Like, we only have 2 lands, but we have the library to find them. Typically no great way for them to deal with the library outside of a Reb with a Painter in play. The issue of, like, these 2 bears being our first bears is that typically they'll keep a hand postboard with removal, and you want that removal to go towards maybe a Noble Hierarch, sorry, it was a bug, or you know, a Thalia or a Knight or something else, and then you put in the relevant hate bears. But here we're saying, hey, we have our bears, let's play them, and then they just have the removal. So that's why I'm umming and ahhing. I think we'll see how it goes. It's pretty hard to not keep this. Okay, and that's exactly what we're talking about with the Saga plan. Needle, probably Wasteland. But can you imagine, like, Force of Vigor here? So strong. Okay, that's actually a great pickup because we don't have a tome on play here. We now have a Savannah, which is nice. I think we're just getting Savannah here. And then hoping it's not just an Ancient Tomb and it's more of like a Mox Opal or like Great Furnace style. Okay, well, there goes that plan. Honestly, I think in this case, I'm probably happy to play the library and try to dig more than play out one of these. Yeah. It's tough though. It's a little bit like Delver in this instance, where library is going to be shunned quite a bit by combat damage from their construct, which will be a 2/2, a 3/3, and then a 4/4 at least. This is the sort of matchup where I really want that third Force of Vigor, but just can't find the room for it. See, this is exactly like what we're talking about. The construct plan and then just having the backup grindstone activation is pretty huge. We have to find force here. Oh. I feel like we just have to go Wasteland into Liberator and then block 1, kill 1. In that case, I should have also just paid just to dig deeper. Because now they can do... They could do nothing. Attack first. Ooh, Magus. That's okay. I actually don't care about that as much. You can see we're agent here as well. On the draw, probably just isn't good enough. This is also, I was umming and ahhing about like Dismember versus Snuff Out. Does buy a little bit of time, potentially. No. A Fury as well. Onslaught. Yeah, I think it comes back to the keep as well. Like no turn on play is pretty huge. Yeah. Pretty easy decision there. Okay, on the play. Honestly, I don't mind the Thought Seizers on the play. Take out the agent. I think I'd rather have hand information than trying to like hold up the agent. Most likely library as well. Could just be an endurance, I think. Especially with extra removal in the deck. I think we're kind of covered in that instance. But always a tricky one. Yeah, I think like I feel like Legacy is getting to the stage where we just need 3 forces. It's like the one free spell that I'm happy to have in the deck compared to something like Mind Break Trap or Surgical. There's nothing like it. It's just that good. Alright, on the play. Pretty nice start. Happy to keep this. And we're just going to go Forest into Dryad Arbor. And then we have Scrubland off this. Okay. It's pretty great for us. Ain't is fine. I would love to just draw into a land here and be able to hit Great Furnace and Painter once. I guess that's similar. I think here we just want to once into a land, probably Wasteland. And then Swords the Painter. Hey Lawrence, happy holidays. Yeah, I think we definitely want to do something before they tap out. I do like Wasteland, but I kind of want to keep it. Swords them, attack for 2. Get the Wasteland and just hold it. Maybe not, because what I'm afraid of is Saga, but we have Force of Vigor for that. I don't believe they're running a way to like force, which is good. Ah, if they Monkey Blast. Yeah, I never even thought of Monkey Blast. That's actually yeah, very true. I should have done this before they untap, but here we go. They did choose black, correct? Yes. I mean, land off the top means that we can either double spell by knighting and holding up sword, or the other way around. Fury's a nice start. Nice. I think here we just want to get planes just to have that room against a Magus effect. No Ancestral Swords is pretty huge. Okay. Honestly, now I'm in the position where if we draw into a land, we can sword the monkey and also just force them. We don't, but that's pretty good as well. Yeah. Sack the Scrubland. Get a fetch land. Fetch, get a black source. Play Jailer. Take this out. Draw into a green card would be pretty sweet. Oh my gosh. And then upkeep. Gonna hit these two. Nice. Very nice to grab that one. I feel like if we didn't draw into something there, the Fable could have potentially put them away. Saha, Saha. Always get a smile when you come to the chat, Saha. It's very hard not to. Hope you had a great Christmas break and are enjoying some time off potentially. You never know. I also like a new sweater. Looks very nice. Very cool. Also cool to see you streaming some Legacy Depths recently, which I believe people can find in my Discord. Big fan of the Legacy Gambit. Shout out to Legacy Gambit. You can find it on YouTube and I believe on Twitter. Alright, we have a sweet hand. Removal, tutor ability, something for unfair, once, a little bit of everything. Alright, they've gone to 6 cards. Marsh Flats. Huh. That's a little bit scary. That kind of makes me just want to hold up sword in once. I feel like Marsh Flats could just be Reanimator, and I'd rather have open swords and potentially like just turn 2 Thalia. Like if this gets a land, we don't really need to accelerate. They're gonna fetch. I think I'm gonna fetch as well, just in case. It's like a mono black, like ritual op agent deck. I'm gonna get Savannah here. Makes the most sense. Don't get Badlands. Oh, it's Badlands. Okay, okay. Oh, Troll. Not too bad, actually. Okay. This could be like the Rakdos scam deck as well. I've seen that pop up a fair bit. Grief. I think here I'm happy to... So I could do nothing. I could also Swords the Grief and then just cast the once. If we find Endurance then potentially. If not, hopefully find a land. I don't mind that. But we want to do the once first, of course. Find a land. Perfect. And then pretty happy to Swords the Grief. They probably take one of the bears, and then for the troll we try to get to Grist as soon as possible. Take the grandsons. Okay. Pedal. Okay, this is like a Reanimator style deck. Zoom. Okay. So they have a 3-turn clock pretty much with the Verdant. So if we go... I think we just go Fiend now to get into play, to play around Hand Disruption. And then we work out everything else down the line. Hey, Jittery. Far from the goat, but very happy to be part of the community that has many goats within the Maverick system. But yeah, really cool over this year. Seeing a lot of challenges, a few challenge wins with Maverick. It's been cool. Alright, so they're on 0 cards. I've actually shown everything. So we just have to put things together. Cradle would be cool. Plains, okay. I think that... yeah, that's all good. Yeah, this is all good. We can play... They can draw 1 card, so I think we just play Thalia here. And then next turn, sack the Thalia for Fiend. And then we have to lose the Fiend. I think what I should have done, apologies, what I should have done is play Verdant, end step, get Dryad Arbor, and then we have a second creature to sack. I could have also attacked there. Very, very messy that turn. Apologies. We could, but even without, they don't have a Swamp Walk. It has to be blocked by 3 or more creatures, which is pretty brutal. Right, they have nothing. Okay. Super Menace. Correct. Grist. Stabilized. Not the way that I wanted, but somewhat. Somewhat stabilized. They have 2 cards. If we can get this Ooze into play, I feel like that's huge game. Oof. Okay, they get back the Troll. We get back the Fiend Artisan. And then we go for Palace Jailer next turn. Wow. Now that. And they have no cards in hand. Look at that. That's just... oh my gosh, we even drew the Palace Jailer. Don't even need to do any of that. Okay. They have 0 cards again. Now this is a board state that I love. could fetch for Dryad Arbor in case I hit it. I think you were happy to start getting a roll on. Swords, great. We even have a Savannah left to go and fetch just in case. Hey Dom, welcome, hope you're well. Currently got up against Painter, and now we're looking to close it out in game 1 against what looks to be like a Rakdos-ish Reanimator / Scam deck. We'll get Dryad Arbor. Better now that you're here, Dom. Exactly. That is the type of community that I love. You can go to 5. I think you were just going to play Ooze with a bunch of mana open. Could also, like, Fiend. I don't think it's really something that matters. Luckily. They're going to try to do something? Bowmaster. Okay. Thankfully, we have the sword for this. We'll see if they try to ping an X2, thinking that they'll be able to kill it. No. Okay. Honestly, probably don't even need to matter about this. Like, I could just let it resolve. I guess there's a world where they ping us, but... okay. The new Cauldron did not see any play. I know some players tried it out, but sadly just a little bit slow. I think having Green Suns as well is a big factor. Also, Bowmaster seeing a lot of play in Legacy, as it does in Modern, but I think it just takes a little bit too much setup for Legacy compared to Modern, where you need like the creature in the bin. Like Exile is obviously a huge thing with sorts of Plowshares, which I guess is with like Fatal Push. So he's like probably more play in Modern than Legacy. Like Solitude and Prismatic Ending, obviously, as well. Exiling in Modern. Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's more of a Modern power card, but there's probably people who've tried it out in Legacy. Snuff Out is obviously, it's like another sort of, this is actually another matchup where Dismember is just better. What are we looking at? We're looking at like Plague Engineer. Collector Ouphe somewhat. Does turn off Lotus Petal, but that's not enough. Thalia can come out knowing they're playing the Orcish. Library a little bit too slow, especially with the Orcish as well. Ramunap a little bit too slow. I don't mind the Thoughtseizers. Reflexes is kind of a nice way to deal with the Orc potentially with Knight. Beast can actually come out. Yeah, I was thinking about Agent as just like a flash creature. Like maybe I want to hold up Endurance and Agent at the same time. Then it comes to end step, don't want to cast the Endurance because it's not going to do anything. I'd rather just cast the Agent. I feel like there's a little bit of flex there. Really want to have some sort of turn 1 interaction. This is not it, although I did ask for turn 1 interaction, so can't blame MTGO. Okay, we have a pretty sweet Cradle with Artisan hand with mana for days. So pretty happy to keep this. I think Knight here is what I want to drop. If I really want it, we can Green Suns or Fiend for it. Just a little bit far away for right now. Okay. I'm pretty happy just for them to see what they want to take. If they're getting back this turn, they probably take the once first to shut off like the ability to get endurance. But then even if they take something and then we once into endurance pitching Green Suns, we're then left with 3 lands anyway. Ooh. Grizz? Alright, well I guess we just try to find endurance now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now that is a little bit funny. Then down to 1 card in the land, we're down to 3 cards in hand. Alright, Entomb is most likely not in their deck, or else they probably would have just used that mana just then. Play out the Verdant. We probably just want to go for Dryad Arbor to turn on the Cradle. Alright. 1 card for them. I guess if it's Orcish Bowmaster, that's a little bit rough. And we actually just have mana anyway. We're not reliant on the Cradle, so I'm actually happy to pass here. Okay. If they're fetching here, I assume it's Orcish. No, just trying to thin a little bit. Okay. I feel like now's the time to probably... I think I should have actually played the Peatland and then gotten Dryad Arbor, which gives us access to 2, 3, 4 mana. 1 for the Peatland, which leaves us with 3 mana, so 2 draws into a 3-drop or Green Suns for 2 potentially. So this is an interesting one. I could use the Savannah, but then I can't hold up white. I could use the Dryad Arbor, but then I can't attack for 2. I could use the Ignoble Hierarch, but then I can't play a Thoughtseize we draw into. So I think the play is open up, keep everything open, and we can still attack with the Ignoble Hierarch if needed. Oh, okay. If they had the patience to then have Orcish Bowmaster then, that would have been pretty cool. Take out both our creatures. They are still just on 1 card, which is good for us. They seem to like just to fetch end step, get cards out of the deck. Okay, that's not nothing. Let's play the Cradle here. Attack for 2, hold up Bowmaster. Which, to be fair, they're only one away from Bowmaster just killing with Grizzlebrand draw if they reanimate. Grief comes into play. Thankfully, Orcish Bowmaster just great against Grief as well. So there's a menace ability. They only have one card left, so I guess they're just getting back the Grief here. Which isn't great either, because we can just start attacking for 2 with Exalted anyway. This isn't a great blocker. Maybe they choose to do nothing. Okay. Ooh, Fiend, very nice. Let's attack for 3. Then Fiend here is probably game. Especially if we get Scavenging Ooze and just hold up green for the rest of the game. Hey KC, welcome. Good morning. Glad to have you. Hope the family is well. Nice, there we go. Alright. Let's look for some more. I'm going to call that Black Red Reanimator, but scam in brackets. Weird game. Real, obviously the endurance was nuts, but that's why you play once. Get to dig a little bit. If the opponent took the once there, that would have been tough. Because what does the Green Suns do? It gets Dryad Arbor potentially. That's about it. Hey, Pigeon. Well, are you? I guess, because the maybe part. But we got to be happy with that. Got to be happy. Okay. On the play, it's always nice. Pretty decent hand. Pretty happy to keep this. Do I want to fetch early on? Probably not. There's some like little things for fetching, like if we go fetch into Noble and then draw Knight of the Reliquary and have fetch, it means that turn 2 Knight is a 4/4 against a Bolt deck, which I think is reasonable. The thing to consider is that we probably want to get a Dryad Arbor at some stage with the Fiend, and we want to get a Black Source. So by fetching a Black Source early on, it also might take us off the Black Source, or give away information that we are on black. So a little things to consider. I don't mind just going for Savannah Noble and holding these for a little bit to know what we actually want to get. Just an island. Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, Shardless. Oh, is this going to be Rhinos? Okay. Okay. Another great reason to try to get Knight online ASAP. 2 mana. 2 mana. Not too much happening at 2 mana. I think here we just want to play Bayou. Oh, 4 cards. Get down a Fiend Artisan. And then we have Swords. Which to play around Force Negation, which I assume is main deck, in upkeep will Swords the Rhino. Just to keep a little bit of pressure at bay. Rhinos is really tough. It just, the resources we have to trade with pretty much free cards, like You get a 2/2, you get a 4/4 and a 4/4. To think that one of these is probably trading with something like a knight and one is taking a Swords to Plowshares, it's pretty tough. Brazen, okay. That's not too bad. Like, that's a little bit of a tempo play, but we don't really matter about that. All right. Attack for 5. Hmm, 3 mana is always tough. I think here we do just want to trade. Try to keep as much off the table as possible and get towards another Reliquary, like a 5. Like, best case, no 3-drop. We draw a Wasteland. We get to a Wasteland and also Green Suns for Night. That does also open up Force Negation, which I'm not that sad about. It's really here, either double Fiend or Green Suns for Night. Double Fiend, that'd both be 2/2s. Not great. I assume this is a Fury deck. 3 mana. Oh, we haven't played a land. We could get for Ramunap, but I don't think that's a winning play. I think Knight I think Knight just sets up to the best plays in, like, holding up Wasteland or getting Cradle. There's a few things. And if they have Force Negation this turn, that's fine. That's one less turn that they have just 3 mana stack. So, oh, they're actually going to... Oh, just hardcast Force? Go down to 0 cards? Wow. Okay, that's the last thing that I expected. Alright, come on, Wasteland. Once again wouldn't be too bad. Ignoble. I actually think here we want to play the Noble. And then, look, if they drew into a thing, There's definitely, there's a lot of cards from Warhammer that I would love to see online, let alone play. Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think we just take this, go to 5. I could block, take 3, go to 7. And then next turn we just have Fiend Artisan and also Endurance, which I don't mind. Like, if we're fiending here, we're getting a Knight, which is still only a 4/4. I'm actually happy with just trying to keep as much off the table as possible. Okay. That's a pretty good one. Then under 0 cards, okay. So here we can Fiend. And then also Orc. And then the Orc plays really well with the Fiend Artisan. So they have one of these on there. And come down. Interesting. They obviously just didn't think they could beat the Fiend. We were pretty fortunate there. They had a really good start. But I think as much as it doesn't look great, trading when you can is so huge. Because you only realistically have 4 swords in the deck. If you're getting to time for Plowshares, you're probably winning the game anyway. So if I can turn a creature into a source to Plowshares, pretty much, I'm doing it anytime I can. Alright. Okay. We like the Snuff Outs. We like the Snuff Outs. Collector Ouphe, a pretty easy cut. Outland, pretty easy cut. Sylvan Library, interesting, but I think along with the Snuff Out's just a little bit too much. Endurance I still like as a one-of, especially with Brazen Borrower. Quick reflexes are interesting, but probably not where we want to be. It can be really tough. There are times where it's just like, they get the 4/4s down, you have a knight, but then they have like endurance to make it a 2/2 after you've blocked, or they have a Brazen Borrower just to tempo you out. There can be some really like fast starts from Rhinos, which are just really, really tough to keep up with. Trying to think. Like, they do play Violent Outburst, so like Violent Outburst into Rhinos is stopped by Deafening Silence, but I don't think that's good enough. They actually run out of cards pretty quickly that I don't think Thoughtseize is worth it. Yeah, so Deafening Silence does work against one half of the combo. It doesn't work against Shardless Agent. Neither does Aethersworn Canonist, which is pretty huge, as Agent is a artifact. It could just be the endurances because they're 3/4 bodies. That if you block with this and something else, you're at least killing a Rhino, and it's probably not killing 2 creatures, which is kind of nice. Teague is interesting, doesn't do a whole lot. I'm just going to do an Agent. No, I don't think Agent is really that great here. It could just be the library. Actually, no, let's go with 1 quick reflexes. See how that plays out. Didn't think about Minskimbu, that's a big one. Oh, this is a really nice hand. It's obviously not keepable, but it's cool to look at. Hey, Mengu, a huge thank you for the raid. Hope you went well playing. I believe you're playing Amulet and maybe even Cloudpost in Legacy, which is very cool to see. A huge hello to everyone from Andreo's stream. I'm Dukes on Twitch. I'm an Australian Legacy MTGO streamer, usually streaming fair decks like Legacy Maverick, which we have here. I'm pretty happy to keep this. We're going to keep the double swords and the white source. We do just want 3 lands. It's probably between the Knight and the Green Suns. The Green Suns does allow us to develop our mana early on with something like Dryad Arbor. And Knight right now is just a 2/2, so pretty happy to do that. Blue-Black Murktide in Legacy, classic 3/2. Hey, well, I do follow you on Twitter, of course. We follow each other, but I have seen some trophies recently from you, so... it seems like winning never goes too far from you, Mengu. Okay, just a Misty Pass. Because of that, I think we're happy just to develop. I would assume it's at least just land into Spirit Guide here, into Rhinos. We do have the Karakas if they are on the Minsk plan, which is really nice. The best way to... Well, they're going to fire it. Okay, that makes a bit of sense as well. If we draw a land here, we're just going to Wasteland them. Ooh, that's pretty close to that. Now, although we don't have Swords up, we do have Snuff Out, which is kind of nice. Okay. They actually revealed a lot of cards. We'll see what they did. Oh, they hit Inevitable Trail. So they get to search our library for a creature and put it under their control. So it's probably going to be either Palace Jailer or Grist, I would assume. I kind of hope it's Palace Jailer because it's probably the card we have. Like once we have a pretty good chance of getting the Monarch back over the next few turns with the amount of removal we have. Grist would be the most annoying. Especially because I believe the tokens from Grist are both green and black, so you can't even snuff them out. I got hit by this at... They go for Grist, yeah. I got hit by Inevitable Betrayal at a God of Legacy earlier this year in Japan, and it was brutal. They actually put it on suspend, so every turn I just had it in front of me, which is pretty funny. Okay. So let's just see if there's anything like new here. They're playing Nagus. Okay, I probably should have known about that. Minsk is in the deck. 3 Wastelands are at the bottom of the deck, which is quite nice for us. Pretty normal stuff. Verdant. Okay. I think we're going to try to get to a stage. It's really tough. I was going to say we get to a stage where they just don't have a creature to sack to the Grist. I will take this just because we are dead to land Magus post combat. So I'm happy to take the 3 and then just do most of our tricks at the end of their turn. No land, okay. Plague Engineer. Oh, did we side it out? No. Okay, so Plague Engineer is a fine hit. Ignobled. Not too bad, to be fair. Any sort of creature to make them sacrifice their creatures is pretty good for us. I could see them trading, at least attacking first and then trading. Just because of things like Megas, they want to keep us off mana dorks. Yeah, they tick down. I believe this is both. Is there a way? Yes, I can check. Actually, yeah, black and green insects, so I can't swords and snuff out, sadly. Potentially that's a reason to snuff out the shardless, so that I have access to double swords. I think because of this board as well, we want to swords the token, which doesn't feel great, but then untap play the ooze. Fetch for a forest. Now we have a little bit of a choice. They might be in a position where they have like Simian Spirit Guides. If they draw into land, they can play Minsk. So I might want to keep Karakas open, which isn't great, but I think here we just want to tap like this, hold 1 green up, because Fury would still kill the ooze as a 4/4. Yeah. Like fire doesn't really matter. Fire is definitely really going to force it. Makes sense, to be fair. We still have the Beast. We still have Questing Beast, which is nice. So we do actually have a way to answer the Grist if needed. Hit another Force in the bin. Alright. This is where that value line can really add up. Wow, another Inevitable Betrayal. If they got something like Questing Beast or a Legendary, we can return it to our hand, which is pretty cool. That could be a way out for us. If they think they can get like Questing Beast here, obviously not. At least Jailer turns on Orcish Bowmasters a lot more. Happy to pass here. They also can't block Questing Beast, which is kind of cool. Knight's pretty good, although they do have multiple creatures to sack, but I don't think we have a way around that anyway. This Grist is just doing so much. At least Opposition Agent is a way to play around Inevitable Betrayal because it's you control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. Ah, it's not a library. Okay. I feel like that's different with Surgical. On the play, I do like... I do like Thoughtseize. I've seen some Maverick lists pick up Reanimate, which is kind of cool. I think Rhinos could be a pretty solid deck for the Super Qualifier. I think it has a decent Delver matchup, just because you do have the Spirit Guides to play around Days, and 4/4s are typically a little bit awkward for Delver. You're also a Force deck, which is nice. I have 6 cards in hand. Hey Ben, welcome. Hope you're doing well. We take out Karakas here. Yeah. Tough. Okay. Back to the drawing board. I do like the Thoughtseize. Plague's a little bit awkward. If they get Grist, sure, it's fine. It hits germs. Oh, sorry, insects. It does hit Brazen Burrower, and it's a kill a Rhino take 2, which isn't great for 3 mana. I could see the Artisans going down, just because there isn't really a target in the deck for this matchup. However, with cards like Fury and Ice, typically the Fiends get pretty big over time, so I could see Fiend being pretty cool in the mid game. I think Thalia can come out for sure, especially against this deck. It's probably the Endurances. Yeah. Hey Dark, thanks for the follow. Hope you're well. And hey, a big thank you to all of you who have stayed in from Mengu's stream. Really appreciate it. A bit of an awkward hand with Dryad Arbor, but happy to keep it. We have Thoughtseize into Snuff Out with Noble and Bowmasters, so that's pretty cool. Opponent's gone to 6 cards. Really want to try to take a payoff spell if we can. We also just want to play the Bayou here, as it allows us to play both Thoughtseize and Noble next turn, and hold up Snuff Out. Yeah, sadly Legacy does have a bit of a barrier to entry, but at the same time there's a lot of good communities out there across the world that do have lender decks or things like that. I mean, Thoughtseize taking 2 cards here. Oh, they're not going to force. Ah, they have a Magus. Interesting. We definitely take the Magus. Just have a quick think about this. They can Wasteland us, but then we have Noble as backup. This is also another reason why I love the second Bayou, because if they Wasteland this Bayou, we wouldn't have a black source to fetch that casts Noble Hierarch, but also allows us to play Bowmaster the following turn. Yeah. And thankfully right now you can also get kind of a God account on MTGO. I think it's around $25 USD. I could see them resetting the game here with Wasteland. Oh, they're going to allow us to untap? Maybe they want to keep the Wasteland around? I guess that means they can reveal as well, which is just search. I think here I'm happy to play the Noble out and then hold up grab Forest, so that in the case of a Blood Moon effect, we are actually all good to go. So here we see Lorien revealed. You live in Norway, LGS is very scarce, especially in northern part. We're lucky enough to have a small FNM. That's very cool to hear. I love hearing about like the little niche communities. Play the Taiga. Oh, they're putting a Crashing Footfalls on hold. Okay. Cradle's not great, but it does allow us to do some shenanigans. Pass back. Right. I actually kind of hope that Shardless here hits. Oh. Rhinos. Yeah, okay. And at least if they force this, and they can't force the Snuff Out. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. Do we draw a Green Suns, or like a big threat here? We don't. That's cool. That's cool, that can happen. I guess we just play the Dryad Arbor. And hold up Snuff Out for their upkeep. They can't Force of Negation or Force. They could Force Negation us, but here at least they can't. like Force of Will us in a meaningful way. Again, nothing too spooky, everything pretty normal. So, if they have like a Fire Ice, it works out really badly. It could block with all 4. If they remove just 1, it kills everything. I think I'm happy to take this hit and then try to find something else. Yeah, Snuff Out is just overcasted murder. That is tough. Wasteland the Cradle, okay. Can you imagine like Palace Jailer here? Green Suns, there we go. I think we're getting Grist. I probably want to... guess we could also go for like... yeah, I think Grist is just the best. Knight would only be a 4/4. Force negation. Sadly, we can't really race here. Engined explosives would be kind of cool to have. One, two. I guess just because of Brazen Borrower, I'll block with everything. But it's tough either way. Like, Brazen Borrower could just bounce this, to be fair. Yeah, we can't beat fire anyway. We have to make them have it. Very tough. We got an 8. We potentially get 1 blocker. We did get a game, which is cool. Not good enough. Tough. Where am I? There we go. 2-1. Yeah, real tough one. Very hard to keep up with value. 2-for-1 kind of value. And although we had like an Orc start, it was quite awkward. Didn't really do a whole lot. A hand with like Green Suns would be pretty good. But yeah, just not the time for Orc. The fires make it very difficult as well. And ice, to be fair. They can be pretty defensive with their plays as well. Things like bounce and tapping down creatures, and also just keeping back 4/4s as well. But hey, a huge thank you to everyone in the stream. You can find me on YouTube, you can find me here on Twitter, and of course the Discord, and of course greensunzenith.com. Played a good mix of decks tonight, at least. Painter, Reanimator, Rhinos. No Delver just yet. I would expect Delver. I'd also expect lands. I've seen a lot of lands about when I typically play in my evenings. Also have a pretty sweet donation deck list coming up from Patreon, which is kind of a cool take on a Green Sun Zenith deck, so keep an eye out for that. Hey Past, a big thank you for the sub for 4 months. Big appreciation. A little bit of an awkward hand with Dryad Arbor in the opening along with Ouphe. Pretty happy to mulligan this. Much better. Much better. Probably just going to keep this bottom the Cradle, and then we just have a nice turn 1 Ignoble Hierarch into turn 2 Knight. Opponent's gone to 5 cards. So potentially turn 2 Collector Ouphe against a combo deck is where we're going to be. Quick Reflexes is very cool. I'm going to start with Savannah. See how that goes. Doesn't tell us a whole lot. I think here, just because I don't know what we're up against, what I want to do is Green Suns for Fiend Artisan, which is a similar card to Green Suns. It allows us to tutor for what we need. But if we're up against Delver, Fiend is still fine. But Collector Ouphe would just be a 2/2 vanilla creature. At least this allows us to see, like, are they a Daze deck? Because if it is a Delver deck... Oh, it's not. Interesting, they got Forest. I think then Fiend is just the best. Especially with Legolas's quick reflexes. Potentially take out a creature of theirs. Hey, thanks, KC. All the best. If I don't see you before the end of the year, Happy New Year. Forest Volk. Is this going to be Rhinos again? It is. Wow. That's pretty huge. So we played... Okay. At least we get to get a bit of redemption here, potentially. Wasteland. We'll play this. Play the Knight. Ooh, no, that's okay. I think they're going to force that. Okay. 2 cards left for them. That's a good one. Okay. They have 1 card left. Try to go for another Knight here, which will be a 6/6. Oh, it's a 4/4, sorry. I'm not going to block because we have the Legolas's quick reflexes. Okay. These are definitely the starts that are a lot harder. I was thinking of like another fire potentially. Yeah. Thoughtseize on the play. Snuff Outs. Orc. Ouphe. Liberator. Probably Reflexes, yeah. Guess Thalia on the... Like, Thalia on the play isn't too bad. Okay. Better keep this. Savannah. Yeah, what was that, like? Fire into Force into Shardless, Shardless? Kind of like the Peatland, because it is a, well, hopefully, a draw into a spell down the line. An island. Once is pretty nice. I'm happy to play the Wasteland and then just hold up the Once Upon a Time. I guess one thing to note is that we don't actually have Snuff Out online right now. It's a little bit like Splinter Twin, where you just have to like hold up mana just to see if you can interact. Nothing from them. Pretty happy to Wasteland beginning of combat. I don't really want to put these back either, so I'm going to target no one. Interesting. Get the Fiend down. We have the Cradle. Trying to get this online like over one turn would be nice. Upkeep, we can try to sword a Rhino. Hey Saito, very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. Well, if they do nothing here, I think now it's just time for Palace Jailer. 3 mana. Could even attack first with Exalted. I don't think that's too greedy. Three, 4, 5. Just in case we draw into a swords, I want to hold it up. It does make it a factor of 4 though, so potentially we just want to play it a little bit safer. Yeah. Worst case is they have Boo, but even then it's not that bad. I think this is fine. Jailer. Take. But happy holidays, Sato-san. Hope you're doing well. What have you been playing around with Maverick? I know you typically have a bit of a brew going. A brew that gets results, I will say that. I do really like how your decks evolve over time. There's the Bayou for Snuff Out, which is nice. Probably a Trop. There you go. Okay. I think we're definitely playing the Bayou here. Although we could just hardcast and also Wasteland. Huh. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could turn Palace Jailer into a knight. I think we want to use our mana for the Fiend Artisan. So I think in that case we want to play the Bayou and then just Snuff Out right now. It does play into Force Negation as well, but like we could have potentially gone Thalia first with Fiend. So if they wanted to counter this, they would have to have pitched a Spirit Guide. Force Negation. Okay. Wonder if then do we draw a card? Fiend Artisan is sorcery, sadly. I think it would be a little bit busted at instant. I think we want to draw a card. And then 2 mana floating means we can still get Knight if needed. Okay. But really tough. I feel like we definitely don't have, yeah, like these really need to be drawing spells. Which sounds basic, but in this sort of matchup, like, really, really matters. Yeah. Not attacking with everything. Tough. We actually have no outs to that. Rhinos again. Not even one game. Like, yeah, I think if I played in a local metagame and I knew that someone was a Rhinos player, I'd probably bring some kind of like engineered explosives to the table. Pretty strong. Maybe go up in Thoughtseize to the full playset. Really draw dependent with Thoughtseize, but is a decent way to try to take one of their cards. One of their payoffs. Hopefully we can finish this 3-2. Hey Mark. It's tough. It's a lot of value. I mean, 3 mana, 10 power. I think Maverick is a deck that a lot of standard decks could beat. And I think that says a lot about the Rhinos matchup. Just for how powerful it is. It's, you know, if a standard deck can get us, Rhinos can have a field day. I feel like a lot of our bears just don't really get there. This is a 1-lander. It's a 1-lander, but I'm just not keen on that. There's so many ways to interact with Noble Hierarch and then just dead draw us, so I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. We don't have a green source. Really, really risky, but we do have like hold up swords into Bowmaster potentially, so I don't mind it over a 5. Gonna lead on the plains as well to not get wastelanded. Obviously a pretty tough one. This is like as a 5, I would keep this without the green suns, so I'd keep it as a 6. Oh no. Okay, it's just lands. For a second, I thought we were going to be up against Rhinos for a 3rd time. Okay. Oh, with Mox. Well, hopefully no crop rotation. This is a matchup where, yeah, this hand is very poor against. This could be a game where they just go loam and we just go straight to game 3. That's pretty much what we're talking about. So lands is actually a pretty fun matchup, to be fair. I love the endurances, the forces, the opposition agent. Not a fan of Thalia. The Bowmasters aren't great either. The Plague Engineer can go. Everything else is pretty set. Quick Think. Yeah. Okay. Happy to keep this. So one thing I don't mind doing against Wasteland decks is just overextending into Wasteland and giving them as many options as they feel. All right. This turns on turn 2 endurance at sorcery speed to take a loam out of the bin. Interesting. Start with Ouphe here. See if they want to float anything. It is their only colored source at this stage. Hey, Stifro. Yeah, I do love seeing some Crucible. I think 5th Dawn Crucible is definitely up there with like one of my favorite cards. Especially the artwork as well. Okay. A spell here would be fantastic. Not a spell, but can't be too upset about that. So here we get to attack with 3. They currently don't have anything online. And then we have Endurance open as well. They do get to search for a 1-drop. I assume it's going to be Needle on Wasteland. That does turn off their own Wastelands. It could just be if they play a map. Or a Lantern just to like get another draw. Oh, it could also be like a Pyretic Spellbomb, potentially. I don't think they play that, like a 5th Punishing Fire. I feel like they're already cutting Punishing Fire to some extent. Needle, okay. Yeah, Knight for a while in Mav has typically been pretty naked to the extent it gets you mana, it gets you interaction, and it gets you a draw. I guess interaction as well with Knight, or with Wasteland. Typically it's good enough. Typically in this deck you're looking for Knight to be a beater, so a big creature, but also have some application to it in terms of getting you a bunch of mana in Reed Duke's favorite legacy card. Obviously, Cradle can get you out of some pretty spicy situations, so having that on a stick is good. If you add too many more utility spells, you start really upsetting the mana and the ability to actually cast spells. But there are some pretty cool things, like Tower of the Magistrate has definitely been in the fold before. I wonder if I just want to cast the Endurance here and go full beatdown. I kind of feel like that's the plan. If I sit back and just have like 3 as a clock just isn't enough. But I will hit the graveyard so that a loam is turned off. I guess I could look for another... I could look for Knight here and then play it. So what if we tap like this? We don't find it. We do find Ramunap, which doesn't do a whole lot here, especially with the needle down. But potentially getting it into play is good. I mean, Force Negation off the top. Outland Liberator, potentially. The Wasteland's turned off currently, so I think just getting another creature into play isn't too bad. Especially with enough mana to play into Tabernacle. Punishing Fire. Okay. That's fair. It's a crop. Saga. Okay. So now they'll get at least a 3/3, which is pretty big. This card's pretty funny. So this is typically for Doomsday and some other matchups where you can sacrifice it to make target player mill 3 cards. We're going to draw a card here. We really want to try to find a knight. Okay, there we go. Interesting. They already have a needle down. I think we just want to get things out of the... I think having knight as a 3/3 is fine. And then we have a free attack here with the endurance. I could go for Shadow Spear. That'd be kind of cool. So they'll have a 5/5, 2 5/5s next turn. Cephaloid's very cool. I guess if they get like a an ability to... We can't really play around like a Bojuka Bog style effect off a artifact like Soul Guide Lantern and Punishing Fire taking out the Knight, because they can Punishing Fire first and then exile the graveyard. Oh, that's going to go for Shadow Spear. Okay. We're in the clear-ish. That's very interesting. I thought what they might have done is got... yeah, the deck going a little bit more. Getting rid of the knight with a exile effect. Maybe they just don't run one. Not what I'm after. Let's draw a card first. Now that's what I'm after. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh, so close. I mean, we can hard cast it and then use Knight. I can't double Wasteland this turn. I'm 1 mana shy, but it was close. Yeah, honestly, I think we just go boom, boom. And then probably just hold up Cradle, so we could hardcast Endurance in case they have Loam. Or hold up just Wasteland in general. But you can see how big Force of Vigor is in this game. There's Tabernacle, don't really care about that. Get rid of the forest. Get a Cradle. Untap. Guess I could have played the Endurance there as well, which probably would have been lethal. That's a little misplay. I could go at it if they have endurance, it's a bit of a whitewash. So I kind of like just attacking with Exalted with 1 endurance and then just double Wasteland. Otawara. Okay. It's an interesting one, because now we still get back the Wasteland. Do we care about? Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, thankfully. Opponent thought we were D&T post board. So that's definitely something to note. Which can happen. I typically like to play Maverick as a green-white deck. Try not to show the 3rd color game 1. Most players and decks sideboard the exact same, but it's always nice to make our opponent think about, are they like a Bowmaster deck? Are they like a Pyroblast deck? Are they even splashing a color? Force of Vigor in the opening is a pretty big one against lands. Honestly, here we have kind of like a hand where it does things, but nothing too great. Grist isn't a great card in this matchup, so this is much better. Happy to keep this. It's probably just a Savannah. We have double fetch, double Wasteland. We could try to take them off green there by like probably Wasteland and upkeep. Oh, they don't have a second. Wow. What is their hand? 5 cards, no lands, double green? So they didn't play a loam. They didn't crop for the sake of cropping. They didn't play another exploration. Like maybe endurance could be a card. That's really weird. I think in that case, I could tap that for a green thanks to the Avamaya, but I want to fetch my basic so it can't be wastelanded. And probably just play out the Ouphe here. I'd rather play out the Liberator when I have mana to also activate it. Yeah, it could be many a crop. No, end step crop for... Wow, just... Huh. Alright. Happy to attack first. Wasteland into Outland. So the issue here is if I Wasteland the Yav in draw step, And then if they fetch or crop for Saga, they get to trigger the Saga in draw step because it comes in, and then straight away main phase, they get to trigger it again. So I think I'm actually happy just to let it slide. I also want to use the mana potentially for Liberator. Alright, here's a crop. Wasteland's fine. We have swords for endurance, so I'm pretty happy to attack into that. Pretty happy just to try to flip this Outland Liberator if possible. Nice. That's fine. Collector Ouphe deals with that. I guess Punishing Fire could have been in their opening hand as well. Hey, Gizlo. Always cool to see you. A huge happy holidays. I feel like they're trying to activate this, but they obviously can't with the Ouphe. Yeah, let's just pass back. Attack, trigger, look at that value. Here's something you don't do every day as well. I'm going to tap a forest and a plains, and I'm going to cast Fiend Artisan. Play the Verdant so I can hold up swords potentially. Is there a reason why I'm not wastelanding him? I'm not wastelanding them because I don't want to run into crop rotation, and there's currently nothing on the field that I really care about. I could try to take them off green, but all I really care about in green is Loam, which is answered by Endurance, and say Exploration, which is answered by the Frenzied Trapbreaker. Yeah, I feel like if I wasteland them, it gives them an opportunity to kind of like pounce on that opportunity. So with their strategy being based around lands, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. With me having like everything in play to win, it's really on them to maybe potentially make us use a wasteland in an unfavorable way. Too kind. Yeah, see, even here we do have access to like triple green to play the endurance, which, to be fair, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 is just lethal. But they could have double crop, which would allow them to crop into Dark Depths, tap it for green, I guess like tap 3 green, use double crop, 1 on, yeah. So actually, yeah, I'm happy just to not do that. Just keep going forward. So there's a crop. This is probably for Mazavith, which is pretty tough. Like, you don't really want to be cropping into Mazavith here. Okay, it's going to be Taiga, which I assume means it's going to be a Punishing Fire. Kozilek's Return. Interesting. I honestly think that's okay. I mean, we lose the Fiend Artisan and the Collector Ouphe, but we get to double Wasteland them off their green sources, which is pretty huge. Funnily, drawing Arbor could have meant we could have played it pre-combat if we thought about this, Wastelanded it, and then activated like to keep the Fiend Artisan around, but this is all good. This deals damage. Now it's honestly probably just Dryad Arbor. Wasteland. Wasteland. Like, thankfully, like, Maze of Ith isn't that great. It saves him 3 damage, but Surgical on Wasteland is fine. That puts him to 4, which means that 1 single maze isn't enough either. Yeah. Really tough one for them. Really, really tough. We have some chests. Let's just quickly open these. 75 play points. That's okay. Nothing great. This card's popping up a lot. I don't know why, but I haven't played with it, so I can't have a good analysis on it. It just didn't seem like, from spoilers, this card was going to be the be-all end-all, but I have seen it in multiple formats doing a lot of cool things. Deck tonight was cool. So we got up against Painter, Reanimator, lands, and got, let's be honest, pretty crushed by Rhinos. But it's tough. I can't think of a card that's great against Rhinos that's also good against other decks. Potentially Chalice. I have seen like Chalice in the sideboard over a card like Deafening Silence in that sort of slot. Because typically a lot of the decks that play LEDs and Lotus Petals, etc., are the Deafening Silence style decks. So Chalice also hits those and is a turn 1 play, which is cool. Lavinia is very cool if you are on sort of a Bant or Dark Bant strategy. I could definitely see that. The mana tonight was pretty good. Nothing too much to say. Not too much to say there. Once Upon a Time's worth a little bit feast and famine. A few times we needed like a green source, didn't find it. But at the same time, it did win us a game against Reanimator, finding Endurance, of course. Yeah, I think there's still like, there's some really cool things going into 2024. Like, I think Scooz is back. I really like Scooz. Against the decks where you just want ongoing pressure. I would say this is where like the flex is, like Ramunap as well. I think Ramunap in the 75 is good, but potentially not main deck. Like maybe Renegade Rallia is where we should be at. Like the Harry 1-2-3-2 decks we're seeing. Each piece here did pretty well. I was happy with all of these. The mana from like the 2-2 split was quite nice. There were times we needed black, there were times we needed white. Happy with that. 3 Fiend was cool. I've seen a lot of decks with like 2, but I think 3 is sweet. Probably not the full 4, but this is pretty cool. But hey, that's me. A huge thank you to everyone who came in and watched and enjoyed this. If you aren't following the channel, definitely consider following on Twitch. I'll be back most likely this weekend, which should be sweet. Either Sunday morning or Sunday evening. Most likely morning because it is New Year's Eve. But yeah, probably back with Maverick of some kind. Kind of want to play Punishing as the Christmas colors of green, red, and white come together pretty nicely. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm gonna see who else is streaming. It looks like Yellow Hat. Nice. Gabe is doing Cube for charity, which is sweet. So I'm gonna send you guys over there. But hey, huge thank you once again. I'm Dukes on Twitch. Cool to finish 3-2, but really wanted to try to get over Rhinos there. Obviously didn't, but that's all good. We'll catch you next time. Stay safe. If I don't speak to you before the new year, happy holidays, happy new year. Stay safe, and catch you soon.